Hey guys, tonight we're going to dive into the world of ancient Egypt, a time when beauty wasn't just skin deep, but soul deep with magic, health, and divine protection, all wrapped up in one little stroke around the eye. Yes, we're talking about eyeliner, but not just any eyeliner. This was the stuff that made the gods jealous, and might even have kept away the desert's evil spirits. Picture this. You're standing in the heart of a bustling Egyptian market. The air is thick with the scent of frankincense and myrrh, and the sun is burning fiercely overhead. People are crowded around stalls, hawking everything from papyrus scrolls to carved statues. But wait, right there, in front of you, is the one thing that could really catch your eye: the black, bold line traced perfectly around a woman's eye, making her look both mysterious and powerful. It's not just a cosmetic choice. No, my friend, this is a ritual, a shield, and a sign of status, all wrapped up in one. You might think it's just a beauty trend that passed through the ages, but ancient Egyptian eyeliner is way more than that. It's a link between the mortal and divine, an early form of cosmetic magic that Egyptians believed could protect them from the forces of evil. We're talking about something that, back then, wasn't just about looking good, but about surviving the unforgiving desert sun, avoiding illnesses, and perhaps even playing a part in the afterlife. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And of course, feel free to share where you're listening from and what time it is. I always love hearing from you guys. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. As we step back in time, let's start with the first stroke of eyeliner. The Egyptians weren't the first to play with eye paint, but they sure made it famous. The origins of eyeliner go back thousands of years, as early as 3000 BCE. But what's incredible is that the material used wasn't just for beauty, was believed to have divine power. Imagine being part of this culture, where every detail of your appearance was more than just style. It was a way to connect with the gods. Now, when you trace a black line around your eyes, think of it as more than a cosmetic choice. Back then, it was as much about survival, spirituality, and divine protection as it was about looking glamorous. Historians still argue whether eyeliner's initial use was medicinal, magical, or simply for beautification. But one thing is clear: Egyptians believed it was all of those things. And let's face it, they were way ahead of us in understanding the powerful effects of eye makeup. As you walk deeper into the bustling marketplace, you might see some of the most interesting interactions happening not with merchants selling their wares, but among people bargaining over their appearance. Eyeliner, or kohl, as it was called, wasn't just a personal indulgence or cosmetic choice. It was an expression of power, status, and spirituality. It was something that distinguished the elite from the common folk, but also connected them to something greater than themselves. Kohl wasn't just for enhancing beauty. It was a protective charm, believed to ward off evil spirits and misfortune. The Egyptians, living in the hot desert with constant threats from the sun, didn't just slap some powder on their faces. They created an elaborate ritual out of it. The dark line that circled the eye didn't only make them look striking. It was like a magical shield against the forces that might wish to harm them. And it wasn't just about looking fierce for the sake of fashion. This was a spiritual act, a way to invoke divine protection. The material used for this ritual was kohl, a mix of crushed minerals like galena, soot, and charcoal. The Egyptians weren't just using any old powder, though. They had a sophisticated understanding of these minerals. The galena, a lead-based mineral, was crushed and combined with other natural substances, creating a potent substance that had both practical and mystical uses. This wasn't just for looking pretty. It was believed that the dark pigment had healing properties, helping to protect against infections like pink eye and other eye diseases that were common in the hot Dusty environment, historians still debate whether the use of eyeliner had a strictly medicinal purpose or whether it was more about the spiritual significance. Some scholars believe the Egyptians used it as a form of medicine to protect their eyes, while others suggest that the belief in the powers of the Eye of Horus, the symbol of protection, healing, and restoration, made it an essential part of the spiritual life. Regardless of which theory you subscribe to, one thing is clear: kohl was an essential part of Egyptian life, a tool used both in everyday life and during rituals. Picture yourself as an ancient Egyptian applying this kohl to your eyes. You would use a small stick or an applicator, carefully drawing the black line around your eyes. This wasn't something you'd rush through. This was a moment of connection, a moment to align yourself with divine protection. You're not just getting ready for a day in the marketplace or a ceremony. You're preparing yourself spiritually. It's more than just looking your best, it's about drawing closer to the gods and ensuring protection and health for the rest of your life. The significance of kohl can't be overstated. It wasn't simply a fashion accessory. It was a divine ritual, and its power extended far beyond the individual. Pharaohs, too, used eyeliner as a means of asserting their divine rule, and this was passed down through every class. Even common Egyptians would use kohl to ensure they had the same protection as their rulers, whether they were heading into battle, performing a daily task, or heading to the temple. In this way, eyeliner connected everyone to the gods it leveled the playing field, even if just a little. Every Egyptian, whether elite or common, could wear their eyeliner to call on the powers of protection, beauty, and connection to the divine. As you walk through the grand halls of the temple, the faint aroma of incense fills the air, and the flicker of torchlight casts long shadows. You can almost hear the soft chants of priests as they move through sacred rituals, preparing for the daily offering to the gods. Here, eyeliner plays an integral part, not just for the powerful pharaohs, but also for the priests and priestesses who manage the sacred spaces. Just as you're about to step further into this world, you notice something. The divine connection through makeup isn't limited to ordinary people or royalty. It permeates every level of society in ancient Egypt, and no one is left untouched by the significance of eyeliner. The role of eyeliner was often spiritual. But let's take a moment to consider how it worked within the temple. Priestesses, who were responsible for maintaining purity and performing sacred rituals, would often use kohl to enhance their divine appearances. The eyeliner served more than an aesthetic purpose in these cases. It was part of their ritualistic dress, symbolizing their purity and their close connection to the gods. Applying kohl became a rite of passage for those who worked in the temple, marking their transition from mere mortals to spiritual conduits. You picture yourself standing next to one of these priestesses as she applies her eyeliner before entering the inner sanctuary. You'd hear the faint swish of the reed brush as it glides around her eyes, the black pigment absorbing the sunlight, almost magically transforming her into someone who is no longer just human, but something otherworldly. This transformation wasn't just a cosmetic change, it was a step toward connecting with divine powers like the goddess Hathor, who is often associated with love, beauty, and joy. Even in the most ritualistic settings, eyeliner remained a central symbol of spiritual transformation, a reminder that beauty was not just for the earthly realm. It was a way to align with cosmic order. Ancient Egyptians believed in balance, and eyeliner, in all its mystical and practical glory, was part of maintaining that balance, protecting both the body and the soul from forces beyond their control. This wasn't just about an individual looking their best. It was about ensuring that you were in harmony with the universe. Historians still debate whether eyeliner was initially used primarily for spiritual protection or as an aesthetic tool to help the wearer stand out. Some suggest that it was meant to enhance one's beauty to gain favor in the eyes of the gods, while others believe it served a much deeper purpose in rituals to ward off disease and maintain a connection to the divine realm. The truth is probably a mix of both, beauty and spirituality intertwined seamlessly, with each stroke of eyeliner symbolizing an act of both personal care and divine devotion. As you continue to immerse yourself in this world, it's clear that eyeliner wasn't just a surface-level practice. It was embedded in the very fabric of Egyptian life, something used in daily rituals, ceremonies, and interactions with the divine. Whether it was for protecting your eyes from the sun or for spiritual empowerment, eyeliner was much more than a cosmetic hit. Was a key part of maintaining cosmic order. It was a link between the mortal world and the gods above, a direct connection to a higher power that had real effects on both physical health and spiritual well-being. So, the next time you apply eyeliner, remember that you are not just tracing a simple line. You are participating in a millennial tradition, connecting with the same forces that ancient Egyptians believed shaped the world around them. It wasn't about just looking good, it was about being part of something bigger, something cosmic, and something deeply tied to the protection of your body and soul. You've learned a lot about the role of eyeliner in everyday Egyptian life, but it's now time to explore its deeper cultural significance. Eyeliner wasn't just an individual protection, it was also a social marker, a reflection of one's place in the social and religious hierarchy. The rich and the powerful weren't just using makeup for beauty, they were using it as a badge of divine favor. But here's the thing, it wasn't just the elites who had access to this powerful magic. Eyeliner was democratized in ancient Egypt. Everyone, from the pharaoh to the common laborer, had their eyeliner rituals. Now, imagine walking through the streets of Thebes or Cairo, thousands of people, many of them wearing kohl around their eyes, moving in a steady rhythm through the dusty streets. There was an energy in the air as the common people applied their eyeliner not just for beauty, but for protection and connection. And the truly powerful thing here is how eyeliner served as a bridge. It wasn't reserved for just the upper class. In fact, even children were adorned with eyeliner, and in this way, the Egyptians ensured that everyone had access to a spiritual tool, a link to the gods. At the royal level, pharaohs used eyeliner to assert their divine status. The dark line around their eyes became a symbol of their connection to the gods, particularly the god Horus, whose protective eye was symbolized by the kohl that adorned the pharaoh's face. But it wasn't just for power, it was also about creating an image of strength and protection. For example, when you saw a pharaoh with bold eyeliner, you didn't just see a ruler, you saw a divine being. Someone who wasn't just a man, but the embodiment of the gods themselves. This was a carefully crafted visual message, one that helped ensure the continuity of divine favor for their rule. But you also notice the social aspect of eyeliner. As you walk along the market, you realize that the common folk are applying kohl as well. For them, it's just as important, though in a more subtle, everyday way. Imagine walking through the dusty streets and seeing a young man or woman with kohl accentuating their eyes, signaling their connection to the divine, much like their rulers, just in a different form. They didn't wear kohl simply for aesthetic reasons, they wore it for spiritual protection from the evil eye, from illness, and from the harsh desert sun. So, in a sense, it was leveling the playing field, ensuring that even the most humble Egyptians could have access to divine protection. Now, you might wonder how they actually applied it. It wasn't as simple as swiping a pencil across the eye. Kohl was applied with precision, often using a small, rounded applicator, sometimes even a piece of wood or metal. The technique involved drawing dark lines around the eyes, often extending the lines into elongated shapes that resembled the eye of Horus, a symbol of protection, restoration, and good health. But the application wasn't just functional, it was also about craftsmanship and artistry. The precision with which it was applied showed that it was a ritual, and it had to be done correctly, in harmony with spiritual beliefs. Historians still debate whether eyeliner had equal importance for all Egyptians, or whether it became more of a status symbol over time. While we know it was popular among the elites and those in the royal court, evidence suggests that the common people also revered the act of applying eyeliner in spiritual terms. The fact that it was available to almost everyone meant that it wasn't just for the wealthy. It was an important part of Egyptian life for all social classes. As you stand there, considering the meaning behind those bold black lines, you realize just how important eyeliner was. It wasn't just a tool for beauty or survival. It was a cultural constant, a symbol of protection and divine connection that threaded through every level of society. The Egyptians weren't just concerned with the superficial. They knew that beauty was power, and they were smart enough to make sure that power was available to everyone who needed it. As you immerse yourself deeper into the daily lives of the ancient Egyptians, one thing becomes clear. The use of eyeliner was not just about personal protection. It was interwoven with nearly every aspect of Egyptian life, from politics and religion to the afterlife. Let's now venture into the mystical and spiritual significance of eyeliner, beyond just its function as protection from the sun and evil spirits. It's here where eyeliner becomes even more fascinating, not just as a cosmetic, but as a gateway to the divine. You find yourself wandering toward a temple dedicated to Horus, the god of the sky, and one of the most revered deities in ancient Egypt. His Eye of Horus is the most famous symbol associated with protection, health, and restoration, and it is no coincidence that the same protective symbol is mirrored in the eyeliner worn by Egyptians. As you watch the priests in their ritualistic garb, you realize that the eye, the symbol of Horus, isn't just a mark on a statue or on a wall. It's literally drawn on the faces of those who enter the temple. The sacred eyeliner, applied with meticulous care, is not just decorative. It is ritualistic, spiritual, and part of the connection to the divine world in temples. Priests and priestesses would apply kohl not just for protection, but as part of their ceremonial duties, ensuring that they were spiritually prepared before entering sacred spaces. The idea was that by applying eyeliner, they were making themselves worthy vessels of divine energy, transforming into intermediaries between gods and mortals. The very act of applying the eyeliner had meaning. It wasn't merely about looking good for the gods. It was a method of aligning with the divine forces they were about to call upon. Historians still debate whether the kohl was primarily for cosmetic and health purposes, or whether its deep spiritual significance in religious rituals was the main reason it was so widely used. Was it a protective charm, or was it a spiritual offering? Perhaps it was both an effective health safeguard and a powerful connection to the gods, both physical and metaphysical. Now let's step back and think about the materials once more. The Egyptians didn't just mix any substances. They were well aware of the power of their ingredients. They combined galena, soot, and malachite, carefully crafting a substance that not only protected but amplified divine protection. The black pigment they created had spiritual weight. It was believed that the darkness of the pigment symbolized the mystical and protective powers of the gods. After all, the Eye of Horus itself is typically depicted in a dark, bold outline, lining with the powerful forces of the universe. Now, let's consider the afterlife. In ancient Egypt, the afterlife was seen as a continuation of life, and the concept of protection didn't stop at death. Eyeliner was often used in burial rites, particularly for the elite and pharaohs. The practice of applying eyeliner to the deceased was thought to provide the dead with protection in the afterlife, ensuring they would travel safely through the perilous journey to the field of reeds, the Egyptian paradise. The dead were thought to need that same spiritual and physical protection to help them face dangers in the afterlife, just as the living did in their earthly realm. In tombs, you would find eye painting kits alongside the body, indicating that the use of eyeliner was part of the final preparations for the journey into the afterlife. The belief was simple yet profound. The dead needed to be protected just as much as the living, and eyeliner provided that same divine armor to shield them on their way to eternal life. Perhaps the most profound aspect of this practice is how it reflects the Egyptian belief in the continuity between life and death, the idea that protection, beauty, and connection to the divine were vital, whether in the land of the living or the land of the dead. As you pause to reflect, you realize just how multidimensional the role of eyeliner was. It wasn't merely a beauty accessory or a survival toolet with spiritual armor, divine protection, and a symbol of connection to the gods. It played a role in every aspect of Egyptian life, from birth to death, and its power transcended the physical realm, offering protection and divine favor that lasted far beyond the grave. And so, in the ancient Egyptian world, eyeliner was not just a stroke around the eye. It was a profound act, a way of aligning yourself with the divine order, ensuring protection and connecting with the gods. In a world where every act was filled with meaning and purpose, eyeliner was far more than a beauty trend. It was a ritual, a spiritual tool, and a symbol of life's deeper forces. As you continue walking through this ancient world, there's a growing realization that eyeliner was more than just makeup. It was a cultural pillar, a symbol deeply embedded in the very fabric of Egyptian life. From the grand halls of temples to the humble homes of peasants, eyeliner was a universal tool for connection to the divine, a social and spiritual marker that everyone, from the pharaohs to the common people, could access. Let's consider the elite Egyptians for a moment. These individuals were not just concerned with material wealth, they were invested in spiritual wealth as well. Applying eyeliner wasn't just about beauty, it was about ensuring that the wearers were protected by the gods and aligned with the cosmic order. In their eyes, the eyeliner affirmed their divine right to rule and protect their people. This connection wasn't just symbolic, it was a very real, tangible way to invoke divine favor in royal ceremonies. Pharaohs, decked out in their finest garments and with bold eyeliner, would stand before their people ready to lead them. They weren't just leaders, they were considered living gods, the earthly embodiment of Horus and other deities. The bold line of eyeliner was a way to emphasize their divine connection, showcasing to their subjects that their authority came from the gods themselves. Every stroke of eyeliner became an affirmation of their godly power and protection. The eyeliner wasn't just about looking fierce, it was an active claim to divine status. But what about the common folk? Well, eyeliner was still an essential part of their daily lives. While they didn't have the luxury of luxurious robes or grand ceremonies, the significance of kohl was equally profound. It was part of their daily rituals, something they wore as a form of protection, of spiritual alignment. Imagine a farmer in the fields, sweating under the intense Egyptian sun. His face a mixture of dirt and sweat, but still the black line around his eyes, drawn meticulously in the morning before he ventured into the fields, a shield against the harsh sunlight and an invocation to the gods for a good harvest. Even the simplest application of eyeliner became a ritual, a daily prayer for divine protection, regardless of one's social class. The common man and woman understood the connection between the material world and the divine. By wearing eyeliner, they weren't just participating in a beauty trend, they were participating in a cosmic ritual. You can almost feel the rhythm of life moving through Egypt, where every detail, from the most mundane to the most divine, was intertwined with spirituality. Every action carried meaning. Even something as simple as applying kohl became a reminder that the gods were watching, guiding, and protecting. It wasn't just about looking good, it was about being part of a world that understood the divine forces that shaped everyday existence. As you continue your exploration, you can almost imagine the deep spiritual connection Egyptians had to their eyeliner. It wasn't just about avoiding the dangers of the world. It was a spiritual practice that bridged the earthly and the divine. Whether you were a pharaoh, a priestess, or a farmer, the protection that came with that simple black line was universal. It didn't matter what your status was. What mattered was that you were aligned with the gods, protected by their power and favor. Historians still debate whether eyeliner had different meanings across Egypt's social spectrum. Did the pharaohs' eyeliner carry more power than that of the common people? Or was it simply a tool for alignment, regardless of your rank? Some say it was the pharaoh's divine right to wear their eyeliner in certain ceremonial ways, while others argue that everyone wore it for spiritual defense, and that, in the end, kohl was a universal tool in Egyptian life. As you stand in this world of ancient Egypt, surrounded by towering statues, elaborate tombs, and the awe-inspiring pyramids, you can see how much this simple substance, kohl, shaped and defined everything from fashion to ritual to health. It was more than just a stroke of black around. The it was the line between life and death, between the mortal world and the gods, between survival and destruction. And now, as you step back into the modern world, you can look at your eyeliner and remember, it's not just for looking. Fabulous, it's an ancient ritual, connecting you to a powerful lineage that has lasted millennia. As you continue reflecting on the cultural and spiritual significance of ancient Egyptian eyeliner, it's time to step into a new layer of this fascinating history. So far, we've touched on the material and mystical uses of eyeliner, and how it played a central role in protecting and empowering the wearer. But what about its ritualistic and symbolic use in the afterlife? This is where eyeliner transcends mere fashion and practicality, becomes a key component of immortality itself. In ancient Egypt, death was never seen as an end, but as a transition. The Egyptians believed in the continuity of the soul, and they thought that just as the living required protection, so did the dead. Eyeliner played a crucial role in this transition. It wasn't just about the body being preserved for eternity. It was about ensuring the soul's journey to the afterlife would be just as well guarded and protected. Fun fact, many mummies, particularly of the wealthy and powerful, were found with kohl still applied around their eyes even, though they had been dead for centuries. The spiritual armor provided by eyeliner didn't end when life did. It followed the deceased into the afterlife, ensuring that they were watched over by the gods as they embarked on their journey through the underworld. Imagine yourself as a royal priest preparing for burial. You're standing beside the mummy of a great ruler, applying the familiar dark lines of eyeliner around their eyes, just as you would for the living. But in this case, it's not just a protective gesture against the sun or evil spirits. This is a divine act, ensuring that the soul of the deceased can journey safely through the duat, the Egyptian underworld. Eyeliner, applied during the mummification process, was believed to act as a spiritual shield, ensuring that the deceased had the strength and protection needed to face the trials of the afterlife. The Eye of Horus, embodied by the kohl line, was a powerful symbol of healing and protection, making it essential to accompany the deceased as they entered eternity. But this wasn't just for royalty. Even common Egyptians who might not have had the resources to afford grand tombs or elaborate mummification would use kohl in their burial preparations, symbolizing that they, too, would be protected in the afterlife. Eyeliner became a symbol of equality in death, as everyone, regardless of their social status, needed the same divine protection for their journey into the next life. This use of eyeliner as part of the mummification ritual highlights just how deeply ingrained it was in Egyptian culture. It wasn't just makeup, it was an essential tool for navigating the transition from the earthly realm to the divine. You can almost feel the weight of the kohl as it's applied to the eyes of a loved one. A simple yet powerful act that ensures they are safe, not just for today, but for eternity. Historians still debate the true reasons behind this ritual. Was it purely symbolic, a way to help the deceased connect to the gods in the afterlife? Or was there a deeper belief that the eyeliner would physically protect the dead from the dangers, they might face in the underworld. Some believe the eyeliner acted as a practical form of spiritual insurance, while others argue that it was part of a larger ritual of transcendence away for the Egyptians, to ensure their immortality through their connection with the divine. Imagine, as you reflect on this ancient practice, how different it is from our modern approach to death. We mourn the loss of life, but for the Egyptians, death was just another phase in the continuous cycle of life. Eyeliner, a simple cosmetic, became a key part of that cycle, ensuring that the transition was smooth, protected, and filled with divine favor. As you stand before the grand pyramids and tombs, you can almost see the ancient Egyptians' eyeliner carefully applied, stepping into eternity, their eyes wide open, watching over the world for all time. As the last traces of kohl are carefully applied to the eyes of the deceased, you can almost feel the weight of this ritual, the depth of its meaning. Eyeliner wasn't just about looking beautiful in life, it was about ensuring survival in the afterlife. The ancient Egyptians believed that by decorating the eyes, they were also protecting the soul's journey through the dangerous underworld. But it's important to remember that the application of eyeliner wasn't exclusive to burial rituals. It permeated every part of Egyptian life, from the humblest worker to the grandest pharaoh. The fact that everyone could access kohl whether they were elite or common makes it one of the few practices that connected all Egyptians. Regardless of class, this wasn't just cosmetic. This was about the spiritual well-being of society as a whole. Let's take a moment to consider how eyeliner became a social equalizer in ancient Egypt. The practice of using kohl wasn't just confined to those with wealth and privilege. Common people, workers, farmers, and traders also used eyeliner for the same purposes: protection, health, and spiritual connection. By using the same ritualistic eyeliner as their pharaohs, they too could share in the belief of divine protection. This cultural inclusion was a subtle but powerful part of Egyptian society. Even though social classes were rigidly defined, the practice of applying eyeliner was something that blurred the boundaries, giving everyone access to divine favor. And in a world where the gods' favor could make the difference between life and death, that access meant everything. It's fascinating to consider how such a simple practice, the application of a dark line around the eyes, could shape the very foundation of Egyptian identity. Eyeliner wasn't just makeup, it was a social contract, a spiritual bond that united the population. Whether you were a laborer, a priestess, or a pharaoh, the eyeliner was a symbol that you shared something important with the gods: the gift of protection, health, and beauty. But beyond its social significance, eyeliner also had practical uses that went far beyond the surface. When you think about the harsh desert climate in which the Egyptians lived, it's no surprise that they would find functional uses for their cosmetics. Kohl helped reduce the glare of the sun, making it easier to see and navigate the open desert. But it wasn't just the sun they had to worry about. The dust and sand in the air could cause irritation and infections in the eyes. Eyeliner, applied generously around the eyes, helped form a barrier that kept the eyes safe from the gritty environment. Historians still debate whether these practical applications of eyeliner were the main reason the Egyptians kept using Etor. If the spiritual beliefs were the driving force, was it the physical protection that made eyeliner so popular? Or was it the belief that divine forces were guiding their every move? Some argue that the use of eyeliner had to be spiritual, considering its symbolic association with gods like Horus. But others suggest that the practical benefits were just as important. After all, what use is divine protection if you can't even see through the dust? As you stand back and think about it, it becomes clear: both aspects, practical and spiritual, were inseparable. For the ancient Egyptians, eyeliner wasn't just something you applied on a whim. It was a carefully considered act that addressed both the physical reality of living in the desert and the spiritual necessity of connecting with the gods. This dual purpose gave eyeliner its sacred power. Imagine yourself applying eyeliner in this ancient world. you're not just making sure you look good for the day. You're stepping into a world where your very survival depends on your connection to the divine. And eyeliner is one of the tools you have to make that connection. Every stroke is a prayer or ritual that, in some ways, makes you invincible, aligned with the universe, and ready to face whatever comes next. As the sun sets on the bustling streets of ancient Egypt, you can almost feel the cultural weight of eyeliner's significance in every corner of society. It wasn't just something for the elites, nor was it just a ritual for the dead. It was a tool that connected the living to the gods every single day. Eyeliner was much more than a fleeting trend. It was a powerful symbol of balance and protection, firmly rooted in Egyptian life, death, and spirituality. Let's take a moment to think about how this spirituality played a central role in the way Egyptians applied their eyeliner. If you were an ancient Egyptian, applying kohl to your eyes was far more than simply following a cosmetic trend. It was about aligning yourself with the divine forces. You weren't just enhancing your physical appearance. You were ensuring that your soul remained protected from forces that might wish to harm it. Whether they were the scorching rays of the sun, the grit of the desert, or even evil spirits. This ritualistic element extended into religious ceremonies as well. Priests, priestesses, and royal figures would often wear eyeliner in sacred rituals, ensuring their connection to the gods. For them, applying eyeliner wasn't just about beautifying. It was about becoming an instrument of divine will. By wearing kohl, they ensured that they were spiritually and physically prepared to interact with the gods and conduct the ceremonies, required for both the living and the dead. Ritual purity, after all, was an essential part of Egyptian religious life. And eyeliner served as a tool for both personal and public devotion. But what about the common Egyptians, you might wonder? While the priests and pharaohs had grand rituals tied to their eyeliner use, the ordinary citizens used it for much simpler but still profound reasons. For them, eyeliner was both a health necessity and a spiritual tool. You could find it in the homes of farmers, artisans, and even children, all of whom used it for protection from the intense Egyptian sun. It was worn daily, not just to enhance one's beauty, but to keep the harmful effects of the sun's rays at bay. Every day was a fight for survival in the desert. And the kohl wasn't just makeup. It was a practical defense against the grueling heat and the harmful effects of the environment. Interestingly, there's also an argument that the regular use of eyeliner by all Egyptians helped blur social class distinctions. While it may have been more luxurious for the elite, eyeliner was still accessible to everyone and an essential part of life that transcended the barriers of class. While the pharaohs used it to assert their divine right to rule, the common folk wore it to ensure their own divine protection. In this way, eyeliner became a symbol of spiritual equality. Everyone, regardless of status, had access to the protection and divine favor that came with it. The accessibility of kohl, combined with its divine significance, meant that eyeliner played an integral part in Egyptian culture, not just in ritual, but in everyday life. It was a constant reminder that life and death were connected, that the gods were always watching, and that protection from the forces of the world could come in a simple black line dot. Now, as you step further into this world of ancient beauty and ritual, consider how deeply intertwined makeup and spirituality were for the Egyptians. It wasn't just about looking beautiful, it was about staying safe, staying connected to the divine, and ensuring a good life, both on earth and in the afterlife. Whether you were a pharaoh preparing for a royal ceremony or a farmer getting ready for another long day under the sun, eyeliner was a tool that helped you connect to something bigger, something divine, and something eternal. So, in many ways, eyeliner was more than just a simple decoration of the eyes. It was a physical manifestation of spiritual protection, a marker of divine favor that every Egyptian, no matter their place in society, could access. It was a symbol of beauty, yes, but also a symbol of strength, resilience, and divine protection qualities. that Egyptians believed were essential for navigating both the world of the living and the afterlife. As you stand at the crossroads of history and beauty, the significance of ancient Egyptian eyeliner continues to unfold before you, layer by layer. By now, you've learned how it was not just a tool for decoration or even survival, but a deeply spiritual act that transcended the material world. But now, let's delve into a side of eyeliner that often gets overshadowed: its role in Egyptian art and culture. Picture yourself in the sacred halls of a temple, the walls covered with vibrant murals and carvings of gods and pharaohs. The figures you see on the walls aren't just painted with any ordinary pigment, they're adorned with eyeliner, their eyes accentuated to bring forth their divine power. In fact, many of these ancient Egyptian artworks wouldn't look quite the same without those distinct bold black lines drawn carefully around the eyes of gods, pharaohs, and even deities. These eyeliner strokes weren't just about realism. They were about conveying the divine essence of the figures. The eyes weren't just windows to the soul. They were windows to higher realms. And they had to be portrayed with great care. Historians still argue whether this iconic Eye of Horus look was purely symbolic or if it held practical significance. In the art, on one hand, it could be said that the eyeliner was an artistic representation of power and divine presence. On the other hand, there's evidence to suggest that the Egyptians believed the emphasis on the eyes was meant to capture the divine protection of the gods. In either case, the eyeliner was more than just a cosmetic choice. It was a spiritual marker, visual representation of the gods' presence. But let's take a step back and imagine the process of creating these works of art. How did they apply the same bold, dark lines to the figures in these paintings, sculptures, and carvings? The application wasn't just about using a brush, it was about invoking ritual and respect for the divine. The act of painting these protective lines around the figure's eyes was likely accompanied by prayer or ritual, further reinforcing the belief that eyeliner was more than just decoration. While kohl was used for personal beauty, it was also a vital ingredient in religious and artistic expression. In the same way that rituals were performed to ensure divine favor, creating art with eyeliner around the eyes was seen as a sacred practice that connected the work to divine forces. The ancient Egyptians had a very sophisticated understanding of art and symbolism, and eyeliner was no exception. It was carefully applied not just to enhance beauty, but to imbue the figures with supernatural protection. Now, think about the symbolism of the eye itself in Egyptian art. The Eye of Horus, which is often depicted in the form of bold black eyeliner, symbolized many things: protection, healing, and royal authority. The Egyptians understood that the eye could convey power. That's why it's the focal point in their art. The black lines weren't just aesthetically pleasing. They were there to remind the viewer of the power and divinity of the eye, which was considered a divine force that could protect both the living and the dead. The same protective power offered by the Eye of Horus was made accessible through the everyday use of eyeliner. In this way, eyeliner wasn't just about an individual's protection, it was about protecting the entire society by ensuring that its leaders and citizens stayed aligned with divine order. As you walk through these ancient halls, where eyeliner is used to depict gods and pharaohs, you start to appreciate just how interwoven beauty and spirituality were in Egypt. In their eyes, beauty wasn't superficial, it was a sign of divine order, and eyeliner was a symbol that the gods were watching. Whether you were a pharaoh, a priest, or a common laborer, eyeliner became a sign of divine protection and favor, a sacred tool that connected the mortal world with the heavens above. And so, as you continue your journey through the streets of Egypt, it becomes clear: eyeliner was far from just a simple cosmetic. It was a sacred tool, deeply embedded in the culture, religion, and art of Egypt. Whether in life or death, eyeliner was there to connect the living to the divine. The next time you see eyeliner on someone's face, consider the history behind That stroke of dark pigment. It's more than just makeup hits, a piece of a timeless tradition that's been passed down through thousands of years. A tradition that once helped an entire civilization align with the divine forces that shaped their world. As you continue to explore the fascinating world of ancient Egypt, it becomes increasingly clear that eyeliner wasn't just a tool for personal protection or spiritual significance. It was a cultural touchstone, shaping the way Egyptians interacted with their gods, their environment, and each other. But what about the legacy of this remarkable practice? How did the ancient Egyptian use of eyeliner influence the rest of the world? And perhaps, more importantly, how did it evolve in the millennia that followed? Imagine walking into the grand halls of the Greek temples or even the Roman Senate, both of which would soon be introduced to Egyptian makeup traditions. As these cultures came into contact with Egypt, they were fascinated by many of the practices from embalming to mummification. But none stood out more than the Egyptians' connection to eyeliner. Greeks and Romans alike began to adopt eyeliner into their beauty routines, drawn to its mystical and protective qualities. The concept of using makeup to connect to the divine was too powerful for them to ignore. Historians debate whether the Greeks and Romans fully embraced the spiritual significance of eyeliner, or if they saw it more as a fashion statement. Scholars suggest that for the Romans, it was primarily about enhancing one's appearance and asserting one's social status. Others argue that in the case of the Egyptians, eyeliner was always about spiritual protection. Perhaps it was a mix of both, a way to maintain beauty while also acknowledging the divine. As Egyptian eyeliner crossed cultural boundaries, it began to be used for practical purposes, especially in cultures with harsh environments like those found in Persia or Mesopotamia. Eyeliner, made from ground minerals, was a form of protection against the harsh sun, not only as a defense against the sun's glare, but also to protect from the dust and sand that could irritate the eyes. In these areas, eyeliner was more than a beauty routine. It became part of everyday survival, just as it was in Egypt. You may be surprised to know that eyeliner remained a staple in many ancient beauty routines well into the Middle Ages. For centuries, the magical and protective qualities associated with eyeliner didn't disappear, while eyeliner was applied less frequently during the medieval period. Certain societies, such as the Byzantines, still used makeup for spiritual purposes, continuing some of the practices introduced by the ancient Egyptians. It wasn't until much later, during the Renaissance, that eyeliner's connection to the divine started to fade, as it became more about beauty enhancement and less about ritual or protection. The beauty world we know today owes much of its early origins to ancient Egyptian eyeliner. From modern makeup trends to cosmetic products, the bold black line drawn around the eye can be traced back to the Egyptians' meticulous care and profound beliefs. The influence of ancient Egyptian makeup techniques is still present in modern cosmetics, though the spiritual and protective meanings have been replaced with commercialized beauty standards. Now picture yourself in today's world. You apply eyeliner to enhance your eyes, just as millions do every day, without ever thinking about the centuries of history that led to this small yet significant act. While eyeliner is often seen as a cosmetic product in the modern world, it carries a deeper legacy, one that began with the ancient Egyptians who used it to connect with the gods and protect themselves from forces both physical and spiritual. As you finish tracing that dark line around your eyes, you realize that you are connected to something far older than you imagined. The ancient Egyptians used eyeliner as a means of aligning themselves with divine protection. And, in a way, you too are part of a long tradition, a tradition that stretches across millennia and connects the past to the present. Now that we've explored the legacy of eyeliner through time, let's zoom in on the real-world impact of ancient Egyptian eyeliner on the global stage, specifically focusing on the trade routes that helped spread Egyptian culture, and in turn, their cosmetic practices to other civilizations. Picture this: You're standing at the edge of the Nile River, watching the bustling trade ships set sail towards distant lands. Egyptian merchants would travel along the river and across the seas to places as far as Greece, Rome, and even India, carrying with them not just goods, but ideas and cultural practices, one of the most significant being the practice of eyeliner application. Historians believe that trade routes, particularly those across the Mediterranean, played a crucial role in the spread of Egyptian customs. It's easy to imagine traders from the Roman Empire sailing down the Nile or visiting Egyptian ports, fascinated by the mystical kohl eyeliner that Egyptians wore with such care. The practice quickly spread to the Roman elite, who saw it as an exotic and divine custom. Roman women, inspired by the mystical protection Egyptians wore daily, began to emulate the eyeliner style, not just as a beauty trend, but as a form of status symbol. While the Romans may have adopted eyeliner for aesthetic purposes, there's evidence to suggest they didn't entirely lose sight of the protective significance the Egyptians had attached to it. In Roman baths, where it was common to apply makeup, before entering, the ritualistic aspect of eyeliner remained, symbolizing more than just vanity. Roman women applied eyeliner to protect themselves from the harsh elements, much as the Egyptians had done centuries before. Meanwhile, Egyptian influence didn't just stop at the Mediterranean world. As far east as India and the Indus Valley, ancient civilizations would adapt the use of eyeliner and similar cosmetics, potentially passing through Silk Road exchanges. This wasn't just about fashion, it was also about ritual and protection. As these ancient cultures incorporated elements of Egyptian thought into their own belief systems, historians still debate the extent to which the Egyptians consciously spread their eyeliner practices across trade routes. Did they intend for their beauty rituals to be adopted by others? Or was it simply a case of other civilizations observing and mimicking what they saw as a sacred practice? One thing is certain: Egyptian eyeliner transcended cultural boundaries and became an international symbol of beauty and divine protection. As you stand at the crossroads of history, it's amazing to think about how something as small as a stroke of eyeliner could have traveled across continents and across time, adapting itself to different cultures while still retaining its mystical significance. The Egyptians, for all their advancements in architecture, mathematics, and medicine, also left behind a legacy in the beauty world, one that still echoes in the eyeliner you apply today. But the spread of eyeliner didn't just affect the elites or those interested in beauty. Everyday people across the ancient world began to see eyeliner as a tool for spirituality and protection. In some societies, the application of makeup became a communal act, where groups of people would gather to apply their kohl, share stories, and connect with each other in a way that transcended social boundaries. In modern times, eyeliner is often a personal act, something we do for ourselves. But when you think about its ancient origins, you realize that eyeliner was once a shared experience, a rite of passage for entire communities. Whether it was in the temples of Egypt, the bustling marketplaces of Rome, or the sacred spaces of India, eyeliner was more than just a tool. A beauty, it was a thread connecting different cultures, bringing them closer to the divine. As you apply your eyeliner today, take a moment to think about how it has evolved from a sacred ritual of the ancient Egyptians into a universal symbol of beauty. It's amazing to think that something so small, so simple, could have traveled through time and across continents, carrying with it a piece of the ancient world's spiritual wisdom. As we continue to explore the global journey of eyeliner, it's important to remember that ancient Egypt's impact didn't stop with the spread of their beauty rituals. The influence of eyeliner, particularly as a symbol of power, protection, and divine favor, was woven into the fabric of many cultures. Even in regions where the Egyptians didn't directly influence, their beauty practices found their way through trade, conquest, and cultural exchange. Take, for example, ancient Persia. Persian women, inspired by their encounters with Egyptian culture, adopted the practice of bold eye makeup, though it took on its own unique twist. In Persia, eyeliner was associated with power and authority. Persian royalty often used makeup to demonstrate their closeness to the divine, similarly to the Egyptians, but with a distinct flair. It wasn't just about the protective properties of eyeliner, it was about asserting dominance. The bold, dark lines around their eyes were meant to enhance their beauty, but they also made a statement. I am powerful. I am connected to the divine. Now imagine stepping into a Persian palace during a grand royal ceremony. You watch as the queen, adorned in her finest attire and eye makeup, steps forward. Her eyes, outlined with kohl, are more than just beautiful. They are the embodiment of royal authority. The eyeliner acts as a visual cue, making clear that she is both a beauty and a ruler, someone who commands divine favor and earthly power. It's fascinating to see how eyeliner, originally from the deserts of Egypt, took root in a new culture and became something unique, yet still deeply tied to its spiritual origins. Meanwhile, across the Mediterranean in Greece, eyeliner also began to make its mark. Ancient Greek women were known for their interest in beauty and appearance. But like the Egyptians, the Greeks also saw the eyes as a powerful part of the human soul. In fact, Greek philosopher and physician Hippocrates noted the use of makeup as an important element in rituals and health, while eyeliner in Greece didn't carry the same magical weight as it did in Egypt. It was still used in ceremonial practices, particularly in theater. Actors would apply eyeliner to make their faces stand out, helping the audience recognize their roles on stage again. A subtle reminder of the divine power linked to the eyes. But what really stands out about Greece's adoption of eyeliner is that it paved the way for its use in Western theater, particularly in Rome. Just as the Greeks used makeup to portray characters in drama, the Romans would later take this and incorporate it into their daily routines. By the time of the Roman Empire, eyeliner had become a part of everyday fashion for both men and women, especially in the imperial court. However, it was still tied to the idea of elevation and status. In Roman society, wearing eyeliner was a way to assert that you were not just an ordinary citizen, but someone who deserved special attentions, someone divinely favored. If not in power, at least in appearance. This transformation from spiritual practice to social ritual marked the gradual shift of eyeliner from a divine protection to a beauty standard. But despite its shift in function, the original meaning behind eyeliner, the idea that the eyes are the windows to the soul, and that they are divinely protected, remained intact in some form across cultures. So, as you think about the ancient world's understanding of eyeliner, it becomes clear the practice transcended cultures, evolving along the way, but always carrying a trace of its original spiritual significance. In ancient Egypt, it was about survival, spirituality, and divine protection. In Persia, it became a symbol of power. In Greece, it marked the beauty and authority of women. And in Rome, it became a sign of status and elevation. Even as eyeliner traveled across civilizations, its roots in ancient Egypt remained strong as you apply your own eyeliner today. Remember that you're not just following a modern beauty trend, you're participating in a tradition that stretches back thousands of years, connecting you to the same rituals and protections that the ancient Egyptians practiced. You're drawing on the same magical belief systems, whether you realize it or not. And just like the Egyptians, the bold line around your eyes still carries a sense of connection to something larger, whether that's the gods of the past or the cultural symbols of power, beauty, and divine favor that have shaped societies throughout the ages. As we approach the final chapters of this exploration, it's fascinating to consider how ancient Egyptian eyeliner has impacted modern beauty practices. Though its spiritual significance has largely faded, the symbolism of eyeliner persists, showing just how deeply ingrained this practice has become in the global beauty culture. But how did eyeliner evolve from its sacred origins to what we recognize today? And how do the ancient beliefs still resonate in the way eyeliner is used in modern times? Today, when you walk into a cosmetic store, eyeliner is one of the most common and accessible beauty products. It comes in various forms: pencils, gel, liquid, and even powder. But the essence of what made ancient Egyptian eyeliner so magical, the connection to divinity and protection, still lingers in the modern version, albeit in a much less spiritual form. Despite the shift in meaning, eyeliner continues to be seen as a tool for empowerment. When we apply eyeliner today, we're not just shaping our eyes. We're also making a statement, whether we recognize it or not. In the modern world, eyeliner is seen as a tool for beauty and confidence, but also as a symbol of assertion and individuality. It's no longer just a sign of divine connection. It's about creating an identity. Whether you opt for the bold, winged eyeliner or the understated, natural look, the act of applying eyeliner today is still deeply tied to a sense of empowerment. In fact, the popularity of eyeliner as a beauty staple reflects the same desire that ancient Egyptians had, to communicate strength and confidence. Eyeliner also plays a significant role in gender expression. While makeup in the past was largely tied to gender roles where women were expected to beautify themselves, eyeliner has become an inclusive tool for anyone who wants to use it. Today, people of all genders apply eyeliner, making it not just a symbol of feminine beauty, but a universal tool that helps people express themselves. Much like the ancient Egyptians, we use eyeliner as a way to invoke power, but now it's about individuality and personal style. In many ways, modern eyeliner reflects the same spiritual significance it once had. When people apply their eyeliner in the morning, they're not only enhancing their eyes, they're preparing themselves for the challenges of the day. Just as ancient Egyptians prepared themselves for spiritual alignment. In both ancient and modern contexts, eyeliner is a shield, whether it's protecting the eyes from the harsh sun or from the emotional struggles of the day. Historians still discuss whether the symbolic significance of eyeliner ever truly left modern culture or if it has just evolved. Some argue that eyeliner has shifted from a ritualistic practice to a fashion statement. Others believe it still serves as a spiritual tool, whether consciously or unconsciously. Regardless of how we use it today, eyeliner has become an important part of the global beauty industry, reflecting its continued relevance across time. Modern eyeliner has also found its place in pop culture. From rock stars to movie icons, eyeliner is used to create some of the most memorable, striking looks. Think of Cleopatra, whose eye makeup has become synonymous with regal power and divine allure in today. A signature eyeliner look is recreated in film and fashion. So, in a sense, the legacy of ancient Egyptian eyeliner continues to shape the global beauty industry. What's perhaps most remarkable is how eyeliner, despite its thousands of years of history, has remained remarkably consistent in both its application and its symbolic meaning. Sure, the materials have changed and the reasons for wearing it have evolved, but the fundamental essence remains the same. Eyeliner is used to create protection, strength, and beauty, all in one simple gesture. And no matter how far we stray from its ancient roots, we are still, in a sense, channeling the same divine power the Egyptians once sought. So, as you sit in front of your mirror, applying eyeliner, you're not just following a beauty trend. You're taking part in an ancient tradition, one that has lasted millennia, shaped societies, and crossed cultures. Whether it's for empowerment, spiritual connection, or simply for beauty, you're carrying on a legacy that links you to the ancient Egyptians and to the very first strokes of eyeliner painted thousands of years ago. As we move into the final chapters of this exploration, let's take a moment to reflect on the timeless significance of ancient Egyptian eyeliner. We've followed the journey of this small yet powerful tool, from its origins in 3000 BCE to its status today as a staple in global beauty routines. Along the way, we've seen how eyeliner has connected people to the divine, protected them from the forces of nature and evil, and marked them as part of a spiritual, powerful tradition. Now, as we step back in time, let's imagine what it would have been like to live in ancient Egypt, to see the bold black lines traced around the eyes of every person, from the humble worker to the powerful pharaoh, and to understand just how integral it was to their cultural and spiritual identity. For the ancient Egyptians, makeup was never just about beauty, was a ritual, a link to the gods, a tool for survival, and a means of connection to the larger forces at play in their world. As you think about it, imagine applying eyeliner in this ancient world. You're not just doing your makeup, you're invoking protection, you're ensuring that you are aligned with the divine, and you're securing your place in the spiritual order. In many ways, each line drawn around the eye is a reminder that you are part of something much larger, something eternal that connects you to the gods and the cosmic order. What's so striking about this tradition is how universal it became. Despite the many different regions and cultures it passed through, eyeliner remained linked to its sacred origins. From ancient Persia to Greece, and even across to Rome, eyeliner was adopted and adapted, but at its core, it always symbolized divine protection and connection to the gods. It became a universal tool not just for beauty, but for spiritual survival in a world where divine favor meant everything, even in modern times. When we apply eyeliner today, there's a connection to the pastan unbroken thread that links us to the ancient Egyptians. Yes, the reasons for wearing it have evolved, but the act of applying it still carries with it a sense of ritual. It's something we do to enhance our beauty, yes, but we also do it to empower ourselves and to create a protective barrier between us and the world around us. In a sense, it's a ritual of alignment, a way of saying that we are in control, just as the Egyptians believed they were when they applied their kohl. As we bring this journey to a close, it's important to remember that beauty has always been tied to power, and the ancient Egyptians were keenly aware of this. Their use of eyeliner wasn't just about looking good, was about asserting spiritual control, ensuring health, and creating a connection to the divine. And in many ways, modern beauty standards still carry echoes of this ancient power. Every stroke of eyeliner is a small but potent reminder of our connection to something much larger than ourselves. So, the next time you apply eyeliner, take a moment to appreciate the ancient traditions that shaped this simple beauty ritual. From ancient Egypt to the present day, eyeliner has been more than just a cosmetic choice. It's been a way for people to connect to the divine, ensure their survival, and assert their place in the world. You are participating in a ritual that has endured for thousands of years, a tradition that has shaped the world of beauty, spirituality, and cultural identity. And as you step into the modern world, remember, the power of the eye, the magic of eyeliner, is still with us today, whether we use it for protection, beauty, or empowerment. We are still part of an ancient legacy that continues to shape our lives in profound ways. As we draw closer to the end of our exploration into the origins and legacy of ancient Egyptian eyeliner, it's fascinating to think about the long-lasting impact of this humble beauty practice. The Egyptians may not have known it at the time, but they were laying the groundwork for one of the most widely used beauty rituals in history. From ancient Egypt to modern-day cosmopolitan cities, eyeliner has transcended borders, time periods, and cultures, adapting and evolving in ways that the ancient Egyptians could never have imagined. You've learned how eyeliner wasn't just a cosmetic hit, was a divine tool, a spiritual armor that connected the Egyptians to their gods and offered protection against the harsh desert sun and evil spirits. It was about beauty, yes, but it was also about survival and status. The Egyptians understood that appearance and spirituality were intertwined. How you looked was a reflection of your spiritual connection to the divine. When they applied their eyeliner, they weren't just beautifying themselves, they were preparing for the day's challenges, aligning themselves with the forces of the universe. But as time went on, eyeliner evolved from a deeply spiritual practice into a universal beauty ritual that anyone, regardless of culture or background, could adopt. As the centuries passed and civilizations rose and fell, eyeliner became less about invoking the gods and more about enhancing one's personal appearance. Today, eyeliner is a staple in the modern beauty world. From the bold winged eyeliner, seen on catwalks, to the subtle smudged looks that give a more natural appearance, eyeliner has become an essential tool in many people's daily beauty routines. This transformation of eyeliner from ritualistic protection to cosmetic enhancement is a testament to the enduring power of this practice, even as its spiritual origins faded over time. The core essence remained the same. Eyeliner was always about empowerment, about taking control over your appearance and, by extension, your life. What's perhaps most striking is how eyeliner still holds that power today. Even though we might not see it as a direct connection to the divine, there's still something almost magical about the way eyeliner shapes our faces. It highlights our eyes, drawing attention to one of the most vulnerable parts of the body. Just as the ancient Egyptians used it to shield their eyes from evil today, we use it to project confidence and create a distinct identity. There's a reason why eyeliner remains so ubiquitous in modern beauty culture. It transcends trends, never truly going out of style. Whether you're prepping for a big event or simply going about your day, the application of eyeliner still carries with it a sense of purpose. It's more than just a way to enhance the eyes, it's a ritual, a moment of personal empowerment. In a world full of distractions and chaos, eyeliner is a small but powerful act of self-expression, just as it was for the Egyptians thousands of years ago. Interestingly, the globalization of beauty standards has also ensured that eyeliner continues to be a universal symbol of beauty and protection. In many cultures, the act of wearing eyeliner is not only about the aesthetic, but about how it makes someone feel. There's a sense of confidence that comes with it, a feeling of divine alignment, if that's not how we conceptualize it today. But when you think about the history of eyeliner and its roots in spiritual protection and beauty, it's not hard to see how it has retained that magical quality as you finish applying your eyeliner and look into the mirror. You can't help but feel the connection to the people who once lived in the land of the Nile, who painted their eyes for protection, empowerment, and divine favor. Whether you're wearing it to enhance your eyes or to remind yourself of something greater, you're participating in a tradition that has lasted thousands of years. When you look at yourself now, you're not just a person applying makeup, you're part of a legacy that stretches back to the beginnings of civilization itself. The simple act of applying eyeliner is a reminder that you are connected to something larger than yourself, just as the ancient Egyptians were. As you reflect on the continuity of eyeliner's legacy, it's impossible to ignore how the ancient practice has infiltrated modern culture. In an age where history often feels distant and disconnected, the use of eyeliner remains a link to the past, a small yet significant piece of human culture that has transcended the millennia. In a sense, when you apply eyeliner, you're not just participating in an ancient beauty ritual, but in a larger conversation about identity, protection, and expression, concepts that have stayed relevant from the time of the pharaohs all the way to the present day. Now, take a moment to imagine how eyeliner was perceived by those who wore it in ancient Egypt. It was so much more than an external adornment. It was a tool of empowerment. When a woman or man applied kohl to their eyes, they weren't just beautifying themselves, they were aligning themselves with divine forces. Eyeliner became a magical line, creating a protective barrier between the mortal world and the unseen spiritual world, ensuring that their physical bodies remained healthy, that they remained in harmony with cosmic forces, and that they would be safeguarded against evil. Eyes, after all, were seen as windows to the soul, and kohl allowed that connection to remain guarded, powerful, and pure. But even as eyeliner's spiritual significance shifted with the passage of time, it continued to serve as an essential tool of personal empowerment in subsequent civilizations. As we saw earlier with the Romans and the Greeks, eyeliner began to take on a new meaning, one that emphasized beauty but also power, status, and individuality. Even in medieval Europe, despite a general lack of widespread use, eyeliner would still be applied during royal ceremonies or special events, marking individuals as being aligned with a form of sacred authority. It wasn't just about looking. Beautiflight was about being marked by a divine connection. As the centuries moved on, eyeliner's significance evolved further. During the Renaissance, there was a revival of classical ideals, where makeup once again became a tool for enhancing beauty and status. Even then, the ancient Egyptian concept of eyeliner as ritual and protection lingered in the collective psyche of Europe. Those who applied it were often seen as more exotic, mysterious, and sometimes even otherworldly, much like the Egyptians who once wore it for spiritual protection. Now, let's think about the eyeliner of today. In the modern world, eyeliner is no longer worn primarily for its divine associations. Yet, it remains a statement of individuality. The ways we wear eyeliner today, bold wings, subtle smudges, or graphic lines, serve as ways of expressing who we are and what we stand for. And just like the ancient Egyptians, we still use eyeliner as a tool for empowerment. When you apply eyeliner, you are shaping your identity, protecting your sense of self, and creating a connection between how you look and how you feel. There's also something intrinsically personal about eyeliner. Unlike other beauty products that might be shared or borrowed, eyeliner is one of those rituals that feels like it's uniquely yours. In the same way that the Egyptians carefully applied kohl to their eyes, we carefully choose our eyeliner styles, whether it's a classic cat eye or a bold, smoky look. It's a personal ritual that connects us to the ancient past, but also gives us the freedom to define our own beauty standards in the present. Historians often reflect on the ancient Egyptians' sophisticated understanding of beauty, spirituality, and ritual, and it's clear that these elements have never truly faded. Today, eyeliner may no longer carry the weight of divine protection in the same way, but it still retains a deep connection to the past. It is a physical manifestation of our power, a cultural heirloom that carries forward the ideas of the Egyptians, who once saw eyeliner as a shield against the physical and spiritual forces of the world. Now, as you stand in front of your mirror, applying your eyeliner, think about how you too are participating in a timeless tradition. It's more than just a beauty routine, it's an act of self-empowerment. It's a personal connection to the ancient world and a way of aligning yourself with something larger than just the present moment. You are not simply creating a striking look. You are embodying a practice that has been passed down through thousands of years, practice that still holds power, whether for protection, self-expression, or spiritual alignment. As you continue to reflect on the journey eyeliner has taken through the centuries, you begin to realize that while its uses and meanings have shifted over time, its core essence remains the same. Whether used as a tool of spiritual connection or as a beauty enhancement, eyeliner has always been about more than just appearance. It's about protection, empowerment, and alignment with forces greater than ourselves. It connects us to an ancient practice that has lived on for thousands of years, unbroken in the hearts and minds of those who wear it. Let's consider, for a moment, how the rise of modern beauty culture has evolved eyeliner. The 20th century saw the democratization of makeup, with eyeliner becoming a staple in the everyday routines of millions across the globe. This wasn't just a shift in culture, which was a revolution in how we viewed our relationship with beauty. The makeup industry exploded, with products being mass-produced for people from all walks of life. What was once a ritual of the elite had become available to the masses. But even as it became more accessible, the roots of eyeliner remained intact. Think about it. Today's eyeliner still carries an air of mystique. It still allows people to make a statement, whether it's through the bold cat eye look or the sleek, minimalist lines that grace the eyes of millions. In some ways, eyeliner still functions as a barrier. much like it did in ancient Egypt. Today, it's less about protecting the wearer from evil spirits and more about guarding our identity, shaping our public persona, and asserting our confidence. Even though we may not be warding off disease, we're still using eyeliner to project power and set ourselves apart in a world that often feels chaotic and uncertain. Interestingly, eyeliner has also become a symbol of rebellion in modern times. Think about how it has been used in fashion and pop culture, particularly by artists and musicians who make bold statements with their eye makeup. Icons like David Bowie, Amy Winehouse, and Patti Smith used eyeliner as a form of self-expression and defiance against the status quo. In this sense, eyeliner has evolved from a sacred spiritual symbol to a tool of personal revolution, allowing individuals to express their uniqueness and challenge cultural norms. In a way, it mirrors its ancient beginnings, where the Egyptian elite used it to assert their divine status. Today, it's a way to assert personal power and individual identity. So, while the meanings behind eyeliner have evolved, one thing has remained constant. It is a form of personal armor, from its magical roots in ancient Egypt to its modern-day applications. It continues to serve as a tool for empowerment. Whether it's used to enhance physical beauty, shield the wearer from harm, or assert one's individuality, it's a protective symbol, guarding the eyes and the soul. Just as it once did for the ancient Egyptians who first crafted it in some cultures, eyeliner is still tied to rituals of protection, whether it's for good luck, to ward off evil spirits, or as a form of blessing before a journey. This practice remains alive and well today, albeit in a less overtly spiritual form. But when you pause to consider the full history of eyeliner, you see that it's more than just makeup. It's a ritual of self-empowerment, a small yet significant act that connects us to thousands of years of human history. As you apply your eyeliner today, you're not just following a beauty trend. You're participating in an ancient act of connection, one that's been practiced for millennia, across cultures, continents, and civilizations. In a world that constantly changes, eyeliner remains a bridge between the past and the present, a reminder of our shared human need to connect with something greater than ourselves. Now, as you look at yourself in the mirror, think about how this tiny act still carries the weight of history, how it links you to an ancient tradition, and how you too are part of a long and powerful legacy that stretches back to ancient Egypt. As we near the end of this fascinating exploration, let's take a moment to reflect on the importance of rituals and how they shape our identity, both individually and as a society. The use of eyeliner, though seemingly trivial to modern eyes, was, and still is, a deeply ingrained ritualist sacred practice that connects us to forces larger than ourselves. In ancient Egypt, it was part of daily life, deeply intertwined with both spirituality and survival. It was not only a way to protect the eyes from the elements, but also a spiritual tool that connected the wearer to the divine and ensured their place in the cosmos. In the ancient Egyptian world, rituals permeated every aspect of daily life. From the moment the day began, Egyptians were involved in practices like applying eyeliner that were part of a larger ritualistic framework to ensure both their physical well-being and spiritual health. These practices were a reflection of their belief in the interconnectedness of the material and divine worlds. Every act, from eating to dressing, from work to worship, was carried out with the awareness that the gods were watching, and the cosmic forces needed to be honored in every action. When we apply eyeliner today, we might not be consciously thinking about protecting ourselves from the desert sun or invoking the protection of Horus. But, in some ways, we are continuing the same ritualistic process. We use eyeliner to enhance our beauty, to assert our identity, and, in many ways, to project power. Whether it's a bold cat eye, a classic line, or a subtle smudge, eyeliner still holds a powerful connection to the past, even if we no longer associate it with the ancient gods. Now, Think about how eyeliner has been used across various cultures. Throughout history, in ancient Greece, Rome, and Persia, eyeliner was not only a beauty product, but also an important cultural symbol. The ancient Greeks, for example, would use eyeliner for theatrical performances, drawing dark lines around their eyes to enhance their expressions and create larger-than-life characters on stage. This application was rooted in the same concept, the eyes as windows to the soul, with makeup serving as a way to amplify that connection. And just like in ancient Egypt, the Romans took their use of eyeliner a step further, creating bold beauty. Trends that signified not just style, but a social role. For the elite, it was a status symbol, reinforcing the belief that beauty was a sign of divine favor. The use of eyeliner among the Romans reflected a deep connection between identity, status, and power, not entirely unlike the Egyptians' approach. But what stands out about the use of eyeliner throughout these cultures is how it gradually became less about spirituality and asterisk, more about personal empowerment and self-expression. Today, the art of applying eyeliner is a personal ritual, an act of self-affirmation. You aren't just applying makeup, you're creating your identity, much like the ancient Egyptians did. Whether in Egypt or today, eyeliner is a tool to enhance your natural beauty, but it also embodies something deeper, a connection to history, a link to tradition, and even a ritual of protection. You may not be thinking about warding off evil spirits when you apply your eyeliner, but think about how it transforms your appearance. It enhances your eyes, highlights your features, and often becomes the focal point of your face. It's one of the few beauty products that can instantly alter how we look and feel. It's a small action with a huge impact, and in that way, it is much like the ancient Egyptian belief that the eyes are the windows to the soul. Eyeliner frames those windows, making them look more powerful, more mysterious, and more connected to a world that is both earthly and divine. The next time you apply eyeliner, consider how much history is wrapped up in that small stroke of makeup. You are, in a sense, participating in a tradition that dates back thousands of years. A tradition of self-expression, divine protection, and cultural identity. As you gaze into the mirror, applying your eyeliner, you're linking yourself not just to beauty standards, but to the spiritual world of the ancient Egyptians who first used this simple tool to ensure they were aligned with the gods. As we conclude this journey into the origins and evolution of ancient Egyptian eyeliner, it's incredible to think about how such a simple act, the application of kohl to the eyes, has carried on for thousands of years. From its spiritual and magical beginnings in Egypt to its adaptation across cultures and its continued use in the modern world, eyeliner is one of the few beauty practices with such a profound and lasting impact. Think back to ancient Egypt, where the very act of lining the eyes was about more than just appearance. It was about protection, connection, and divine favor. From the pharaohs to the common folk, kohl was essential. For the pharaohs, it symbolized their connection to the gods, a sign that they were not just mortal rulers, but divine embodiments of Horus. For common Egyptians, it was a daily practice of protection from the harsh desert sun, but also a ritual that kept them aligned with divine forces. Every application of eyeliner, whether in life or death, was a reminder that beauty and spirituality were inseparable. Even in modern times, eyeliner remains an enduring symbol, while its spiritual meaning has largely been replaced by modern beauty standards. The symbol of protection, the ritual of empowerment, and the act of self-expression that eyeliner once represented still resonate today. When you apply eyeliner, you're not just enhancing your appearance, you're connecting with thousands of years of human history, tradition, and belief. But eyeliner isn't just about connecting with the past, it's about who you are now, how you choose to express yourself, and what you choose to project to the world. Whether you're using eyeliner to make a bold statement, enhance your features, or simply protect your eyes from the sun, the essence of empowerment is still there, just as it was in ancient Egypt. It's a small act, but it's one that carries the weight of thousands of years of cultural significance. As you finish applying your eyeliner today, think about how this small ritual connects you to people who lived in a world where beauty was tied to the divine. The ancient Egyptians believed that their physical appearance was not just for themselves, was a way to connect to the gods, to ensure divine protection, and to maintain balance in the cosmos. Today, we may apply eyeliner for different reasons, but the connection to self-expression, empowerment, and protection remains. The legacy of eyeliner goes beyond makeup. It's a story of how humanity has connected with the divine, how rituals have shaped beauty practices, and how cultures across time have adopted and adapted this sacred tool. Whether you're wearing it for confidence, creativity, or simply to define your eyes, eyeliner still carries the spirit of those ancient rituals with it. And so, as you sit back and reflect on everything you've learned, remember that eyeliner is more than just a modern cosmetic. It's a small yet powerful act that has stood the test of time, linking us to the ancient Egyptians, to their beliefs, their spirituality, and their understanding of beauty, power, and protection. Now, as you finish your ritual, take a deep breath and appreciate the rich history of what you've just done. You're not just wearing makeup. You're participating in a tradition that stretches back through the centuries. A tradition of connecting with something greater than yourself. Something that has been woven into the very fabric of human culture. And in this moment, you are part of that ongoing story.